This is Ginger, and this is Ginger's Chat Show, and I hope all is well with you. We've been having a wild week, weather-wise. Uh, Talk about getting inundated with wild weather. Um, but first of all, we need to discuss what's happening down here on Earth. And my big pet peeve, if you will, what's with Congress? Why can't they start impeachment proceedings and boot Trump and cabinet out the door? Because when Trump goes, everybody goes. It's not like he resigned and the vice president takes over. It's not like what Nixon was smarter. He knew his goose was cooked, and he decided to, he knew his political days were over, really over, and he shouldn't have done what he done, but he committed the crime, and so, and of course, about 3/4 of his cabinet paid the price by going to prison. Where I think President Nixon should have gone to prison, or at least serve a few months, because he did instigate the break-in, entering at the Democratic headquarters, okay? I don't know what he was looking for, or what the deal was. You would think that he would say, well, let the numbers speak for themselves and go with that. But no, there are some, what I'm not saying is not all politicians are like this, okay? They follow the rules. They know the game, but they follow the rules. And if you win, great. If you lose, well, there's always next time type scenario, right? So anyway, but with Trump, the difference with Trump is that he's never learned how things go. He never learned the job. The first time around, he's never learned the job. He thinks he could do anything he wants, which you really can't. I mean, you set policy and you promote that policy. If that policy doesn't really work, then change the policy where it works for everybody. Okay. Sorry, my phone's acting up. But he chose to break a number of laws and run roughshod over everybody. And also now Trump is bouncing back and forth because the ballroom thing. He fired the first architect. The architect told him, no, this is not going to work. Trump wasn't really listening, okay? The architect knows what he's doing. He knows how things work and don't work. But he was trying to educate Trump and say, no, you can't do this. You don't want to override the aesthetics of the White House. It's an historical place. But once Trump heard the word no, then he went berserk. He didn't like to be told no. Well, that's just too bad. Trump, one word, no. Okay. So Congress, you guys need to get your damn act together. You work for us. I've been saying this in all my videos. And I'm going to keep repeating it. We need to push on this, people. We need to push on our senators and our House of Representatives and say, hey, this has got to stop. Trump is not helping the economy enemy. He keeps blaming the economy on Biden. I'm sorry, but when Biden was in office, the economy was doing really super well. He basically carried on a good I'm sorry, he was trying to clean up Trump's mess in the first place, okay? But also he was carrying on President Obama's policies, which were working really super well, okay? And with Trump, he wasn't listening. He would want to do it his own way because he was jealous. Trump was jealous of anything that Biden or President Obama did. And so Trump, when something doesn't go right, he blames Biden. Well, I'm sorry, President Biden is a former president now. He's now fighting several personal issues, such as cancer. So, as much as I would love to see, I would have loved to see President Biden being president right now. Because he had a good team that helped him promote the policies that were working. Our economy was working. Okay? So, come on, Congress, wake up. Just prior to Christmas, you got 3 weeks. Commit the impeachment proceedings now. Now there's impeachment proceedings going against Texas. Instead of, why don't you just do the whole kit caboodle and do impeachment on Trump and everybody? Once you get Trump impeached and removed from office, the vice president and the whole cabinet goes. They say, well, who's going to be the president? Then do a snapshot election. Do like what Britain does when they have like a governmental emergency. You know, like if a prime minister died or prime minister had a serious illness and had to resign so he could concentrate on getting well. Nobody doesn't have the added stress of running the government. And they did a snapshot election. And their snapshot elections are extremely short. They're like, 3 weeks? 2 or 3 weeks? So why can't we do it that way? Okay, for example, let's do it. Let's say there was going to be a snapshot election, right? Have 1 week, have the limit to 3 candidates for president. But you have to have in place their knowledge how government works, their knowledge on how the world works. In other words, they have to have good, strong or medium strong foreign policy views that work, and have to have knowledge how government works. And if they don't know something about a certain aspect of government, then they do their research and learn from that way, or get a subject expert. Okay. Then the second week is the primary. You cut it down to 2 people on the presidential ballot. Third week, you elect the president. But this time, don't rely on the college thing. Don't rely on that. Do direct vote. In other words, direct numbers. Don't use delegates or anything else. Do it directly. Because you do it directly in the other offices, elected offices, right? So why can't we make it that way for the president? The electoral college, that was the word I was looking for. The electoral college, I think now needs to be retired. It doesn't apply anymore, okay? We are now 50 states. We're not like at 13 states or 14 states or whatever. We're now at 50, right? So What's wrong with 3 weeks of elections? In other words, really shorten the election season. Because the other reason is this. You and I are tired of voting. We're almost voting constantly. Okay? We need to make it where it's every 4 years. It's already that way for the president, so why can't we make it that way for the Congress and Senate? In other words, have it done at one time and all one fell swoop. Okay? People say, well, it doesn't work that way. Well, yes, it can work that way. It's just that your problem is you're condoning it. We gotta get out of the rut, guys. So push for a 3-week snap election. Do it directly, direct votes. And they go, well, how do you do direct votes? Well, most states do mail-in ballots, right? And there's some that do have to go to the poll to vote. But I suggest the other thing too, those that cannot get out of the house for whatever reason, or they're remote, or whatever area that they live in, do it online and have it so heavily secured it's not even funny. Have the Federal Elections Commission monitor the voting. Okay? And have the Federal Elections Commission have more teeth, as in to make sure that the candidates are qualified. That way the same mistake won't happen again like happened with Trump. Trump was basically twice, and you think we learned the first time. So Trump he's not really qualified to be president, ever. And then there's those like Stephen Miller. Well, if you say things like that about Trump and everything, we'll do this and that and say everything to you. And I go, you know what? You're a little pathetic little bully, Stephen Miller. So shut the hell up. You broke every law in this country, and you know what? You should be imprisoned, along with anybody else who breaks the laws. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I know how things work. And if I'm not sure what law it is, I go look it up. I have the resources right here on my computer. I could look something up. It used to be, some of you may remember, you go to the Encyclopedia Britannia to look something up. Now you ask AI and say, hey, okay, well, about this so-and-so law, I don't quite understand it. Can you explain it to me? Well, it looks it up and everything else. Because AI is trained, okay? It's not a magical thing. It's trained. And so it goes, looks up thing and does research, pull up a whole bunch of information, and then explains it to you how it works. But you yourself have to learn. Trump has never learned anything. He doesn't listen. You ask him a question and he goes completely off kilter. Okay? And if he didn't know something, he should have said, well, I don't know how to answer that question. I'll have to get a subject person here to explain it to me or explain it for me or something. That's what he could have done. But no, being a narcissist. Now, in that last several days, he hasn't been demanding attention that much. I don't know if you noticed. So anyway, Congress, do your job. Or next year, you're going to be out of one. Now, I'm not talking about the Democrats. I'm talking about the MAGA Republicans. And of course, now a lot of them are resigning now. When they do that, then Mike Johnson is going to be out of a job. He's going to lose the majority. Now, as for us, weather-wise, we've been slammed. One, major snowstorms have hit the Midwest. Some anywhere from 6 inches to a foot or more, depends on the area. The only big problem is on the highways. You have snow and ice, and you're on the plains, and there's really no wind barriers, if you will, to prevent that. So you have to deal with snow and ice, which is kind of really dicey when you're trying to drive. Some vehicles can handle snow and ice okay, some vehicles can't, because it depends on how they're built. Um, then some had real bad windstorms come through there. Um, Now, up here in the Pacific Northwest, especially in Washington State, we've been inundated with rain the last week. The rain fell in the mountain. A good majority of the rain fell here in the lowlands too, but a good majority of the rain fell in the Cascades Mountains. So it comes down off the mountain, hits the rivers, and now we got flooding. I mean major flooding. You have flooding in Puyallup, which is inundating Orting. I'm talking about little towns that are east of me. Orting, South Prairie had to evacuate. Orting had to evacuate. Now, except in the foothills, they're fine. They're okay up in the foothills. Um, and then you have up further north, Salton, which is up north from Seattle. You have the Skykomish, you have the Snohomish River floodings, major floodings. There are some towns that had to evacuate. The Snoqualmie Falls, the famous one, is raging right now because of all that water coming down off the mountain. Then you have the Puyallup, you have the Carbon River, which is flooding Orting in South Prairie. Carbon River runs along there, then it converges into the Puyallup River. And then, of course, the Nisqually is high as well. I don't think the Nisqually has reached flood stage, but they're watching it. Nisqually had flooded before. Then you have the Klickitat River. I haven't heard so much about that. I don't think it didn't quite go up to flood stage on the Klickitat, but they're still watching it. Now, they're expecting some areas of scattered rain right now. They think the heaviest part of the rain has stopped or slowed way down. So it gives a chance for the rivers to recede, which I hope it does. I hope it keeps on receding so people get back in their homes, clean up. Now, next thing is the insurance companies. You guys need to step up and start helping. None of this, you cannot claim act of God things to avoid paying the premium. Pay your customers. Help them so they can rebuild. Because if you help them rebuild, then don't raise the rates, lower the rates. That way you stay in business and they stay protected. But if you help them and then raise the rates just because of this incident, because of this event happened, you're not helping yourself. And you're not helping anybody by being, how should I put it? By being mean, okay? So, insurance companies, lower your premiums. They go, well, we can't stay in business. Oh, that's a bunch of bull crap and you know it. Lower your rates so people can pay easily, okay? Stop jacking up the prices. It's not helping anybody, okay? My big question as human beings, why do we do this to ourselves? We have the power to say, no, we need to put a price cap on prices. Why do we have to have at this price? In other words, stop the greed. Okay? I don't like people that are think they're above the law and mock other people because people don't have control over situations like that. Those that mock and bully other people and stomp them while they're down, that's wrong. Pretty soon karma will bite you. Okay? Um, so right now, I heard the water is receding. Depends on some areas. Um, right now, downtown Orting's underwater. Poor guys. It's gonna be a mess. Of course, obviously, the kids can't go to school or anything there. Um, anyway, let me check something real quick. Hold on a second. Um, uh, okay, couple of personal things here. On December 15th, on December 15th, Monday, this coming Monday, I will not be doing my chat show. I got a doctor's appointment. So I will resume my chat show on Wednesday, which is the 17th. And I'll resume discussion on the events and everything that occur and how we're doing up here as far as the uh, flooding and everything going. Oh, another thing too that we were fighting. You kind of wonder why you hear, like when you get on your computer and you hear like a radio show going on through your speakers. We are now experiencing, I think it's almost over, a geothermal storm from the sun, and it's been lambasting Earth. And so our signals get mixed up, screwed up, especially the internet. It acts up, it doesn't work quite right. Some radio signals get scrambled, and that's why at times you pick up a radio show through your speakers and go like, where's that coming from? It's not coming from the, well, it can come through the computer, but it depends on the signal, the FCC. And, or you pick up a CB radio conversation. Now that's kind of funny. But, so we've been fighting that, fighting the flood, fighting the snow and everything else. Hasn't been easy for us. But I'm sure, I hope by Christmas everything will start calming down. I really do. So anyway, I will have a good weekend. I will see you on next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. And take care. Be sure to insist, persist, and push back. Do some yelling. I think by now, I think we should start be yelling. If they're not going to listen, make them listen. And say, well, if you're not going to listen and not do your job, you're fired. Tell them they can be fired. They could be voted out. And a number of other special elections that happened. First time in 30 years in Miami, a mayor has been elected, and she's a Democrat. And she's planning to whip things back in shape in Miami. So, anyway, I will see you guys on Wednesday. Take care. Have a wonderful weekend. And stay safe. And keep your eye in the sky. Okay? Love to all. See you later. Bye-bye.